Hey everybody, it's GauntletX, and welcome back to another Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth Early Access Draft. Thanks again to Wizards of the Coast for this promotional Early Access account, and without further ado, let's get into the draft. For our Pack 1 Pick 1, we've got a lot of pretty sweet options in the Uncommon and Rare slot. We've got a Delighted Halfling here, which is a 1-mana 1/2 mana dork. It can only spend that mana to cast legendary spells, but there are a lot of legends in this set, as you can see by the fact that we have Metal'dor, Swift Savior, Éomer of the Rittermark, and Strider Ranger of the North in this pack as well. So I'm a little interested in maybe trying to play Delighted Halfling here and getting some legendary mana ramp. Don't know how good that is. I know all these other uncommons are pretty sweet. Metal'dor is a flyer that can keep redoing your enter the battlefield effects. Éomer is a 5-mana 5/4 haste that spits out 1/1s whenever it attacks, and Strider is a 4/4 that gives some great buffs every time you get landfall. So I don't know. I'm actually going to go for Éomer here. I think this card is kind of the nuts. 5 mana for a 5/4 haste already beats your opponent down really well, and spitting out a 1/1 on blocks every single turn is quite nice too. So I'm actually going to go Éomer over that rare. Sauron's Ransom, 3 mana, choose an opponent. They look at the top 4 cards of your library, separate them into a face down and face up pile, put one into your hand, the other into your grave. So 3 mana, instant speed, draw 2 in the Ring Tempts You. That's not bad at all. It is going to tie us into 2 colors though, and there are 2 colors that we don't get to use Éomer with unless we play a 3-color deck. That being said, I don't think our commons and uncommons are particularly strong in this pack. Ring Sight, Ent Drop Basin, these seem pretty slow, and the commons seem all pretty filler outside of Ent's Fury, so I guess I'm on Sauron's Ransom here. Maybe try to go for blue-black. That could be a decent sign that whoever opened that pack is not planning on heading that way. Got a Dunlin Crebain, which is great for the blue-black archetype. They care about amassing quite a bit. We've also got a Deceive the Messenger, solid little combat trick that amasses as well. For those who don't know, the Amass ability means if you don't have an Orc Army, you make one, then you put that many counters on it. So it starts as a 0/0, so if you amass 2, you get a 2/2. And if you already have an Orc Army, you just make that army bigger. So you get a really big creature really quick, or you can keep sacrificing it and trading it off for value. So pretty good mechanic. I'll take the Dunlin Crebain here and maybe try to play a blue-black Sauron's Ransom kind of deck. Pack 1, Pick 4, we've got Nethilian Kingfisher, a great blue spell. 3 mana for a 2/1 flyer. When it dies, you draw a card. There's also a Landroval Horizon Witness that I've been pretty impressed by. A 3/4 flyer for 5, but whenever 2 or more creatures you control attack, you get to give one of them flying until end of turn. So if you already have a flyer on board, then the turn you play this, you can attack with your flyer and a non-flyer, and then you're attacking with all flying creatures. This can get a lot of damage in pretty quick, which is pretty cool. I think the card's good, but I also think Nethilian Kingfisher is a great common, and it goes for blue-black with Sauron's Ransom. There's also Smite the Deathless in red for a really good red removal spell. This is a super strong pack in general. Landroval, Smite the Deathless, and Nethilian Kingfisher. All looking great, but we'll take the Kingfisher. In the early access event, I like to try out as many of the rares and uncommons as I can, so I'm trying to get this Sauron's Ransom to pan out if we can end up in blue-black here. I don't know if I'm going to try to play a Tom Bombadil, because there's not that many sagas in this format, and there's not enough mana fixing to easily play a 5-color deck either. So I don't know if I'm going to go that far as to try to play Tom Bombadil here. But I could take us surrounded by orcs. This is a pretty fun build around for a blue-black Amass deck. If you get a big enough Orc Army, you can try to mill your opponent out with multiple copies of this over time. There's also a few cards that care about the number of cards in your graveyard, so you could even mill yourself depending on what your deck is doing, so I'll take us surrounded by orcs there. That could be interesting. Birthday Escape is a nice efficient way to tempt the ring. There's also Errand Rider of Gondor as a premium common. There's tons of legendaries in this format, and with the Tempt the Ring ability, the moment you tempt it, you get a legendary ring bearer on the board. So even if you don't have a legend, if you've tempted the ring to the point where you have a ring bearer somewhere, then you'll have a legend for the Errand Rider of Gondor, so that card's great. Shadowfax is fun, but pretty narrow. Have to be red-white for that. I don't think the Knights of Dol Amroth or Captain of Umbar are particularly good. I'm going to take something speculative here. I'm going to take the Errand Rider just in case we get pushed towards white, because I think the card is just that good that it's worth being open to heading in that direction. Treason of Isengard. In a vacuum, this card isn't that good, but if you're the deck that's running like 4 or 5 copies of Surrounded by Orcs, being able to use the Surrounded by Orcs and then just pick up more Surrounded by Orcs with the Treason of Isengard is pretty fun. So I might just see if like blue-black Surrounded by Orcs mill is a viable strategy in this draft, because this does look like a draft pod where we can probably scoop up a good amount of copies of it. We'll take a Lash of the Balrog here, 5 mana sorcery, destroy a creature, or if we have an expendable creature, we can play it for only 1 mana, sacrificing a creature when we do. So that would be pretty nice. Pack 1, pick 9. Metaldoor Swift Savior is still in this pack, which is a great sign for blue. 4 mana 3/3 flyer isn't the greatest deal ever, but it is not hard to have some enter the battlefield triggers to hit your opponent with this and then exile your like Dunlin Crebain and Amass again by having it re-enter the battlefield. I like that a lot. Definitely going to take it here. I guess I'll take the Ent-Draught Basin, but this seems like just a pretty bad card. I don't know. It might be okay. It's just really slow. I actually like Deceive the Messenger as a combat trick. If you win a combat with this, like if your 3/3 runs into a 3/3 and then you use this, win the combat and spit out a 1/1, it's a really good deal. And sometimes it's like really explosive on blocks because your opponent attacks you with a 1/1 or a 2/1 and then you just make it a 0/1 and spit out a 1/1 out of nowhere, and they're like, well, shoot. So blue-black all in on amassing an army here. Try out all these cards like Deceive the Messenger that seem like they could be good and just see how they actually play out. Alright, at the beginning of your end step, put an influence counter on this and scry 2. Then, target opponent may have you draw a card. If they don't, you mill X, where X is the number of influence counters, and they lose life equal to the total mana value. What on earth? That is very hard to wrap my mind around, but it doesn't seem great. It's really slow. The 3 mana rock that's going to sit there scrying, and your opponent can just keep milling you, but then maybe they take some damage. I have no clue. I guess I just take this, because Earth is fine. Doesn't seem incredible. I'm just going to take this thing. I don't know. I might shove it in the deck and just see what happens. This seems bad, because it seems slow, but you gotta try it once to like know for sure. We've got no data, no stats on the format yet. I can't just go watch other people try to play this card. We are in the early access event. It is day -7 of the format, so... Well, not -7, because it comes out on Tuesday, and it's Thursday right now. Day -4 or something. Day -5. Greyhaven's Navigator's fine. Troll of Khazad-dûm's also fine. This thing's real hard to block. Block with 3 or more creatures. Gigantic creature. I'm not that heavy into black right now. I could take this Landroval and push towards blue-white with my Errand Rider and Landroval. Try to be like blue-white flyers. But a lot of my blue cards are like Amass nonsense. That's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, Troll's not going to be like the most incredible card in the deck ever. We can take a speculative pick instead of that. What does my curve look like? I have nothing at 2 mana. I probably am supposed to take the Easterling Vanguard, even though I like the Crebain a lot better. I guess I could just use 1 mana cards on turn 2, just keep playing Deceive the Messengers. There's also still a Smite the Deathless, which is great. I'm going to take another Crebain, and you can't stop me. 0 2 mana cards. All big Amasses. Amass 2 or more all day long. Okay, this pack's pretty bad. The Trebuchet can keep flinging boulders at our opponent every time we attack with our Orc Army, which is cool. But it is another 3 mana card. Could set up a big card draw engine with Mirror of Galadriel, but I don't have a lot of legends. We'll have a couple, pretty much always. But it's still going to be pretty expensive. I don't like the Morgul Knife Wound too much because there's a lot of way better removal spells in black, like Lash of the Balrog. Yeah, I don't know. I'll take the Trebuchet, but I'm not certain on that one. Being a great card. Take an Athelian Kingfisher. There's a Treason of Isengard. Pick up the Surrounded by Orcs. Put it back on top of our deck to do it again. It's cute. Probably supposed to take Kingfisher over it, but I'm gonna go all in. I'm taking everything that says Amass Orcs, and I'm seeing if we can just stack up a big enough Orc army to mill our opponent out, or mill ourselves a bunch with Surrounded by Orcs, depending on what's going on. Probably try to mill our opponent out. I want to see how this archetype works if you go all in on making a gigantic army. Glorious Gale is a pretty solid counterspell. 2 mana to counter any creature. That's just straight up Essence Scatter, which is a counterspell that's been printed in previous draft formats that's been pretty good. Pretty good in Dominar United was the last time it was reprinted, I believe. Alright, we're looking quite likely to be blue-black Amass nonsense. Speaking of blue-black Amass nonsense, taking all the Surrounded by Orcs that I see. I'm going to take every copy in this draft pod. Ooh, we wield the legend that I took the weird, bad mythic rare over, so we get to play that as well. Come on in, join the party. I have no idea how to pronounce this. Eoreth of the Healing House. Doubt I'm playing any of this. I'll take the mana fixing card. Sack a creature, draw 2's kind of okay for this. I've got a lot of 3 mana stuff, so I'm going to take that over the 3 mana creature there. But that card could be okay with like a 1/1 flying Dunlin Crebain on board to sacrifice or something like that. Alright, pack 3. Do we have goodies? We do. We've got another Mordor Muster for another 2-drop creature, which is beautiful. It gets us started with the Amass train going as well. Draws us a card to keep us flowing through. I like it. Pack 3, pick 2. Ooh, this is going to be a sweet one. The Bath Song. Alright, this deck's going to be fun. This deck is going to be fun. So with this, we can draw 2, then discard a card twice in a row. And then on chapter 3, we could shuffle our whole graveyard back into our library and get double blue. So if we mill ourselves out too much with the Palantir of Orthanc or anything, and we can like try to redraw all of our Amass cards. And if we're like late in the game, we can shuffle our Surrounded by Orcs back in to try to redraw them and get some big mill going. Definitely the Bath Song. This is going to be a goofy deck. We'll see how it plays out for us. Take the 2/1 that starts amassing when it dies, or the counter spell. Both are good. I've got a lot of sorcery speed stuff. I think I'd prefer the 2/1 that amasses when it dies here. I'm so into this deck now. Of all cards, getting the Bath Song is what did it for me. Yes, Surrounded by Orcs copy number 4. Join the deck and join the party. There's one uncommon that would be perfect for this deck, but since we haven't seen it by now, I doubt it's going to show up. And that card is... this actually seems like it counters a lot of stuff. I might be wrong. The Mouth of Sauron. That's a 5-mana legendary 3/4. And you amass X, where X is the number of instants and sorceries in your grave. So you could like self-mill for a bit with your Surrounded by Orcs. Then like get the Mouth of Sauron down to amass like 7 or 8. And then you cast another like Surrounded by Orcs and mill your opponent like 10, 12 cards. That could be a really fun deck if we find the Mouth of Sauron. Yes, every Surrounded by Orcs in the draft pod. That's copy number 5. There's 2 more packs to open one up. We could get one pick 7 and pick 8 if we're super, super lucky. This deck's going to be dumb. This is not a good idea. But it's what I'm doing. We could make our army a 5/5 at base stats. If we get to 7 mana, and then I use this to make the army a 5/5 at base and then play a Surrounded by Orcs, it'd be like an 8/8 that gets +3/+3, and then it's an 11/11, our opponent mills 11. This is a bad idea, but I'm taking it. taking the heck out of that. It's a perfect synergy piece with our 5 surrounded by orcs. Alright, that's all the surrounded by orcs we get. Speaking of perfect synergy pieces, while I probably should take removal like Lash the Balrog, Orcish Medicine is very good when you're trying to make your Orc Army giant, because it can protect it from destroy, removal, or death touch, and it can gain you a ton of life and make it power and toughness 1 larger out of nowhere, because you amass 1. So when you're trying to make your Orc Army massive, Orcish Medicine's a pretty good card. Probably Pelargir Survivor here, actually. We're playing a lot of instants and sorceries, and this could mill our opponent out in the late game. It's also really good at blocking Ring Bearers, because Ring Bearers always have the ability where they can't be blocked by creatures with greater power, so having like a 1/3 is very good at blocking. Alright, Greyhaven's Navigator, I don't think that makes the cut. We already have 31 cards in the deck, so I already have to cut so much stuff. Take another Pelargir Survivor. Soothing of Smeagol seems fine, but take another Survivor over it. Or the mill game plan. Alright, we might run this Soothing of Smeagol. Depends. Depends on how the deck looks when we get it all sorted out in the end here. So that is the end of the draft. Let's hop into the deck building. Alright, I kind of want to just set things up to be as massive as possible, playing as many cards that amass. So cut like this basin. I guess we could, if we have a bunch of mana, like I could spend 4 mana and make our 4/4 army and 8/8 army. Oh no, it puts 1+1/+1 counter into it. It doesn't put X counters onto it. Yeah, okay, that is way too slow. Let's cut the basin. I thought maybe it like doubles up the power. That would be worth it. Never mind. The Black Breath. There's some decks it's really good against. There's a lot of 1 toughness creatures, but I still don't think I want to quite main deck it. Alright, we're forcing ourselves to try the Palantir. I have no idea how this thing is going to work. It's probably not going to be good, but we'll see. Bath Song, 5 surrounded by orcs definitely stay in. Meneldur is actually not good if our best creature is just constantly going to be a token. Knights of Dol Amroth doesn't do much. Trebuchet's fine if I'm constantly attacking with an Orc Army. We'll constantly have a Boulder. It also blocks, which is okay. Definitely love the Corbanes. Captain of Umbar, draw a card, discard a card. That's pretty slow. Dirtily. Drop all these. Still get to cut 5 more cards out of the deck. Love the Orcish Medicine. Not super confident on Nasty End. It's fine with our Vanguard and our Corbanes. That's about it. We don't have a lot of creatures, so we don't have a lot of expendable ones. Let's cut the Nasty End. I might just cut Soothing of Smeagol and Stern Scolding because I'm just not confident on those. I still have to cut 2 more. Our curve does stop at 4 mana, and we have 2 Pelargir Survivors that also add mana, so I can cut like 1 land. I also have Ioreth or Eoreth, which untaps a land, so that's also hits my 4th mana. We've also got some cheap card draw with double Mordor Muster. I think it's reasonable to play 16 lands here, maybe even 15. That's pushing it a little bit. Kingfisher doesn't really hit the straight up game plan here, but it is a good card. You know, too bad, Kingfisher. I'm all in on my stupid game plan. Let's surround our opponent with some orcs, shall we? That is gonna be the deck. Alright, here we have a look at our completed deck list for today, and this is going to be a silly one. We are a blue-black Amass deck where the goal is to make as large of an orc army as possible. So we have tons of cards to amass orcs, hopefully making our orc army pretty big so that our 5 copies of Surrounded by Orcs can keep making that thing juicy as heck and mill our opponent out of the game really quickly. So that is the full game plan. Pretty simple, tons of cards in here that just staple amass orcs and then some amount of number in this deck. So that is really the game plan. We've got a little bit of interaction, like combat tricks that amass orcs, like Deceive the Messenger and Orcish Medicine. We've got Lash the Balrog for removal, Glorious Gale for a counterspell, And then we have a few cards that specifically work well with an Orc Army. Dreadful as the Storm, when we're putting this on a creature that has a base power of 0/0, is a +5/+5 trick. So using this on an Orc, if we get to 7 mana, we can use this on an Orc and then surrounded by Orcs to make it absolutely massive and mill our opponent a million. We've also got like Treason of Isengard to pick up one of our surrounded by Orcs to cast it again, which is huge. Huge card draw from Sauron's Ransom. The Bath Song's another great card draw spell that can then shuffle all of our surrounded by Orcs back into our deck. We're really just built around this one card. We're going to see how far we can take it. So really exciting, really dumb deck today. Super pumped to see what happens with it. All right, here we are in game 1. This is a bit of a risky keep, a 2-lander here. If we hit our lands, I love that turn 4 surrounded by Orcs, and we are on the draw. Deceive the Messenger keeps us alive a little bit, gives us a blocker out of nowhere. We're in the early access event. It's all whatever. I'm going to cross my fingers and hope for some solid draws. Playing against red-white. All right, Deceive the Messenger could be pretty good against this Flamesmith. However, I do draw the black source, so is it better to just Mordor Muster? I don't think so. I think I'm going to try to cheese out a kill on the Flamesmith. There's a Swarming of Moria. They amass Orcs too. That's my job. All right, let's cheese out our Deceive the Messenger kill on the Flamesmith. Feels good. Kill their 2/1 and get our Orc Army started. Now we can tap out for Dunlin Crebain, turn it into a 3/3, and attack in with it. Feels wonderful. I can even tap out for Surrounded by Orcs next turn, milling our opponent 6, because we have a Treason of Isengard to put it back into our library again if we want to try to mill them more later. They've got 2 mana up though, which could be the 2 mana 3 damage burn spell, which would kind of ruin my day if I go all in on Surrounded by Orcs. What could I do instead? Mordor Muster and nothing else, or a 3 mana card like Treason of Isengard. I mean, if they 3 mana removal spell the Orc Army, I'll still have a 3/3 Orc after this, so let's go for it. See what happens. Alright, nothing. Mill 6, let's go, baby. Play around removal. I'm not going to play around removal. I've got a Treason of Isengard. I can reset up the Orc Army shenanigans. Well, they do have Smite the Deathless in their deck, so they had the 3 mana removal spell I was thinking of, just not currently in their hand. Or the 3 damage removal spell, it's only 2 mana. Cool, cool, cool. We can Mordor Muster and Treason of Isengard. Alright, here's Treason of Isengard. Pick up a Surrounded by Orcs for later. Let's Mordor Muster and have the Surrounded by Orcs in our hand. Yep. Force a chump here, or they are dead on board. And hope they don't find a removal spell for our 9/9 Orc Army. That does not stack up 9 power, but it does kill our flyer. Uh-oh. 1 mana burn spell or something? Nope, just sending a message there. Alright. If they don't kill the Orc, they're about to get milled 12 cards. Go down to 13 cards in deck. And obviously they're going to have to chump block once every turn against a 12/12. If they can play enough creatures, they can still outrace us. Yeah, that's a big card to help do that. They hit us for 6 and leave their chump blockers up now, so we're down to 11. Big way to try to outrace us here. I'm gonna do the thing, because that's what we came here to do. We came here to mill them 12 more cards, and by God, I'm gonna do it. Now they have to chump block. They're gonna chump block with the Flamesmith. And turn. If I draw another land, Sauron's Ransom digs 4 cards deep, and if there is the mill in either pile, they're gonna fully mill out here. Land off the top would be so good. Okay, it's not a land. Dang. If it's 3 lands. If I find 3 lands in the mill card, this could still do it. So they look at the top 4. They give us a face down and face up pile. I'm taking whatever pile has a chance. Alright, I'm taking the face down pile because it's got a chance of surrounded by orcs. It's got a glorious gale, no surrounded by orcs. Sad. So there's 3 more in here out of these 22 cards somewhere. We're just waiting to draw them. Could get a trebuchet down. Helps block. But doesn't actually get extra damage in because they just block the 2/1 flyer with their 3/3. They chump the errand rider, or chump with the errand rider. When does it get sacked? The end of combat, so I can't even sack it to a Lash of the Balrog. Might be better to hold up Glorious Gale, but I'll play the Trebuchet. And then we just kill the errand rider of Gondor here. Whoa, what is going on here? Oh, destroy... Blocked or was blocked by a legendary. Oh no! The weirdest, most situational removal spell. Well, that might just be it then. They have 10 cards left, and I'm only going to mill 3 at this point. I don't have a reach blocker for the soldier, so we're going to take 3 damage every turn. I guess I could lash it. We might still be in the game. That's so sad. I'm just super sad there wasn't a surround in the top 4. What is it? Ayorith, Dreadful, and some other stuff. What is this? Oh, it's our weird artifact thing. Okay, do I have the mana to removal spell after this? I don't. That's really bad. I think I have to tap out for removal here. I can't just like go to 2. So we'll go to 5, I guess. There's another surrounded by orcs. It gives me a 3/3 to trade with the 3/2, I guess. Puts them down to 6 cards in library. They have a counter spell for this? No. They may have a removal spell for it. Should probably hold up the counter spell. Only counters creatures, but still. Five cards in library. If I draw another surrounded by orcs, they're going to get milled out anyway, even if I trade this off, because I'll put them down to 1 card in library, so I need to just trade off if they offer it. They do not offer it. We hit a swamp. Okay, now I can hold up Glorious Gale and still play the Palantir of Orthunk. Or thank. I don't know these words. They're probably just going to mill me here. Scry 2, and then I draw a card or they mill me 1. If they mill me 1, then I deal damage to them equal to the mana value of whatever gets milled. 3 damage, alright, they're down to 5. We might kill them with the weird orb. The weird orb thing. They've got 4 cards left. Another land. Scry and then orb to death. Let's do it. That's 4 mana value. That's not quite lethal. I'm going to be a little greedy here, and I'm going to scry the other 2 drop to the bottom and hope it's something that costs 3 or more, so that if they mill 2, they die. And if they don't, then I draw my lifelink indestructible card, which is big. Okay, they let me draw it. So I've got my lifelink indestructible. They've also got indestructible with Tale of Tenuvial. And then they get to put any creature from their graveyard to the battlefield next turn, which is basically any creature in their whole deck. That's interesting. Okay, so we block and gain 4. It's not lifelink and indestructible. That's slightly worse than I thought it was. Here's the survivor to fully mill them out. Could put them to 1. I am at 9. I can put them to 1 here. And then they have to let me draw whatever I choose, which could be Surrounded by Orcs or Bath Song, whatever. They're both good. Drawn to another Surrounded by Orcs. I should have checked their graveyard just in case. Okay, they just have a Flamesmith as the choice. Oh, they're going to try to kill me here. Uh-oh. They have enough instants to kill me? I never would have played around Flamesmith somehow finding the kill, so if they do it, they got it. Swarming of Moria. They have 2 cards left. They have to kill me this turn. They have 1 card left. I guess they killed the survivor, so they think that they're not going to mill out, but I've got us surrounded by orcs. So we know we're good. But I think they're going for a 2-turn kill, is what's going on. Yeah, okay. I guess I could have Glorious Galed that one, but surrounded by orcs. Mill 7 cards out of the 1-card library and pass turn. There's the GG. We did it. And there's another surrounded by orcs on top. They could choose to mill it and just take the damage, and they are going to. Down to -5. Well, that was sweet. That was a sick way to start this draft off. We got to do all the stupid nonsense that we wanted to do. Just make a giant army, mill our opponent's whole deck out, and deal a bunch of damage to them with the Palantir, draw a bunch of extra cards and scry. We did it all. I don't know what else to say. That was super fun. This is probably going to be my favorite archetype. I'm going to draft this way too many times when Surrounded by Orcs is not getting drafted in the pod. This is probably one of those decks that, like, is actually kind of bad because it crumbles to good targeted removal. But it's just so silly and dumb that I'm going to do it anyway. So 1-0, heading into game number 2. Here we are for game 2. Unfortunately, we're against NCAA, one of the top mythic drafters at all times on Arena, pretty much. And NCAA tends to play some hyper-aggressive decks that are going to crush this slower, synergistic, dirtily archetype. Yep, NCAA back at it again with the 1-drop Esquire of the King. This is what happened last time. Oh my god. Yep, NCAA is just gonna beat us down with the same deck. 1-drops, 2-drops, 3-drops on curve, bunch of little aggro dorks. That's the plan. And I don't think our deck is super good against that archetype, so we're gonna get NCAA'd out of it. Oh yeah. 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop. This one gives the whole board +1/+0 and Menace when he's got 4 creatures out already. I'm super dead, but at least I'm going to have some fun before I die. Let's mill him as much as we can. But this deck is way too slow to compete with this kind of deck that NCAA is bringing. I'm going to do the 4 mana, 3 damage to a card and 1 to everything else thing. I mean, I still might as well block here, because it's not like I get to block next turn regardless. I'm not going to play around the 3 damage to a card and 1 to everything else. Alright, that's fine too. Yep, 1-drop Menace creature, 1 mana combat trick. Some drafters just want to watch their opponent's face burn, and that is NCAA. We are pretty dead. This is not lethal yet. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Puts us to 5, and there you go. Oh, I guess that one doesn't have Menace. Okay, if that one got the Menace too, we would just be insta-dead. Well, we'll send a message. Show off the deck idea. Put the Surrounded by Orcs back on top. But we're dead. We're just so dead, it's not even funny. 1-1, head into game 3. Alright, very nice start to game number 3. We've got a great flexible hand here with tons of cheap things to do as we go up our mana curve, and we have the Surrounded by Orcs. We've got 2 of the Surrounded by Orcs. And a Treason of Isengard. So that's a lot of mill if they can't deal with our army. It's a Mordor Trebuchet. And I can just turn 3 Surrounded by Orcs, since we've got a Pelargir Survivor down. One thing that's awkward about this is if our opponent has the Mouth of Sauron, that's a card that cares about the number of things in their graveyard, so it'll get a lot better if we mill them a bunch. Yeah, and if they have Graveyard Recursion like Sam's Desperate Thing, that's kind of hilarious to see a Trebuchet being the Ring Bearer. That is adorable. Alright, I'm just going to keep doing our thing. Surrounded by Orcs again, get a big attack in, mill them 6. And I've got to Deceive the Messenger to make this bigger as well. Maybe I should have done that before I milled, but I like the combat trick aspect of it. Being able to play at an instant speed. But they're down to 20 cards already. We've got the Treason of Isengard. Make this an 8/8. That gets to amass X. What is this? The ring tempts you, then each player mills equal to your ring bearer's power. Each player mills 1. Oh no, destroy all non-legendaries on chapter 2? Yikes. Well, okay. Unless I can find a way to make our Orc Army the ring bearer, that's gonna suck. Oh, they get to move the ring bearer over, so they're gonna have each player mill 2. Well, it's nice that they got some mill going at least. I'm cool with that. Alright, well, we can't tempt the ring. I could set up for my next turn play at least. Get some damage in or force a chump block, and then we play this Orb and Treason of Isengard to put Surrounded by Orcs on top. I guess if I Treason of Isengard, though, then I'm just spending 2 power and toughness. That's just going to die. Or I'm getting 2 power and toughness. That's just going to die next turn. So maybe it's better to Lash the Balrog. Yeah, that's reasonable. Yeah, we'll play the Orb and we'll Lash their Legendary, because that's the only creature that's not going to die anyway. Okay, good that I lose life equal to the creatures in my graveyard, not my opponent's, because I have milled them a lot. That would be really, really bad. That shot me equal to the number of creatures in their graveyard. Alright. Palantir. Balrog away their Orc Army, since mine's gonna die anyway. Alright, end step trigger. They're probably just gonna mill me here, so I'll let them mill that island. Cool. So I have 2 actual creatures in my grave, so I'm not going to take that much damage from this saga, which is good. You know what I realized that's kind of a bummer? If I Treason of Isengard, they can just mill whatever I put on top. They'll take some damage, but they're at 20, so the damage isn't that spooky to them right now. I actually might mill out with this Palantir if I mill my card that shuffles my deck back in. So I need to hit that card. I guess if I keep milling off this, I'm probably hitting 20 mana value of stuff over time. That's a 4/5. Good grief. Can't do much about that. None of these cards are big enough. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it actually does much to treason here, so I just play a trebuchet and pass. There's the Bath Song. I need to not mill that, so I'll put that on the bottom. You know what? Let's keep putting things on the bottom so that when I do get towards the bottom, I can see like the exact order and when I need to set up to draw the Bath Song. To see if I need to like put more cards on my deck so I mill less and stuff like that. Ooh, take 5 down to 15. Well, that's a good start. That's enough damage that makes it look like we probably get them killed before we mill out. I mean, how much mana value is left in there? I have no idea, because the whole deck tracker kind of stuff isn't working right now since the set's brand new. Claim the Precious. Okay. I think the bigger part is, or the bigger problem is that we need to outrace them. Oh no, main deck cast into the fire? Okay. Well, they are now out of cards in hand. But we do need to draw into removal, because I don't think we have any removal I can pick up with Treason of Isengard. I could pick up Lash of the Balrog, but I can't play it immediately. Is it better to pick up removal or make this a 4/4 than a 6/6 next turn? It's probably best to pick up... Can this sack an artifact? No. I feel like killing this 5/6 is a big deal. But I mill a lot if I just pick up a Surrounded by Orcs. If I go Surrounded by Orcs now, they take 4 damage and mill 4. They're down to 11 cards. Treason of Isengard into another Surrounded by Orcs. Turns this into a 6/6 into a 9/9. They mill 9? I feel like I mill them out faster than they kill me by a little bit, but if they draw removal, this will be bad. When in Rome. Let's get stupid with it. Yeah, if I get to Treason of Isengard into Surrounded by Orcs, that's their whole deck. So far, so good. They have one more draw step to interact. But that draw step gets to draw them 2 cards. Because it's their 1 card per turn plus their top deck. That's 9 cards in deck. That's 9 cards milled by Surrounded by Orcs. 5, 6, 7. How likely are they to stack up an extra 4? Not that likely. I think I play around them like milling me 1 or something weird. Ooh, except that they can just amass. They amass 1, but I guess they could just sack the Goblin at that point. Yeah, they could have sacked the Goblin too if they just needed to draw a card. Plus, then they wouldn't draw the card from the ring. Okay, yeah, that's all good. Alright, did they draw interaction? Or have they been surrounded by orcs? Troll of Khazad-dûm does not do it. 7 cards in library. Let's mill them 9. And there you have it. We are 2-1 now. As we head into game number 4. Here we are on the play for game 4. No blue source right now. All I need to do is draw an island, then I'm golden. I've got 8 in the deck. I have Crebain on turn 3 no matter what. Greed. Today is a day of greed. If we hit an island, turn 3 Crebain, turn 4 surrounded by orcs, mill 5 immediately is sweet. And I love the Bath Song, so we'll get that going too. Alright, get things started with a swamp and pass the turn. Mirkwood Spider will be the turn 1 play from our opponent, so we're basically never going to be able to attack with our Orc Army because it'll just trade into a Death Toucher. We have drawn a second copy of Surrounded by Orcs, which will be very sweet as soon as we find an island for them. Hello. Green, black. Myriadoc Brandybuck turn 2. Every time that attacks, they get a food token or any other halfling they have. And, well, kept this hand looking to draw an island, and instead we drew 2 blue cards in a row. So it is looking really sketchy at this point. And it's the exact opposite of what we wanted to draw. The idea was we have 8 islands that are great draws, and we also have like 8 black spells that are fine draws. We hit the other half of the deck though. Some blue spells. I don't like making our Orc Army smaller, but I do like the idea of getting Brandybuck off the board. That being said, they probably have combat tricks in their hand because they have a bunch of mana open. Ooh. Well, it's castable. Time to ponder Orb and hope they don't have main deck removal for artifacts. Are there any untapped removal spells in green-black? Yeah, there's like an equipment that gives +1/+2 reach and untaps a creature you control. That's a common. I think I will play around that. Well, yeah, I mean, they have 3 mana up they did nothing with. I'm just going to play around that. Not going to attack into 3 open mana here. I'd like to draw this island, but they're probably going to mill it. So let's actually put the Mordor Muster on top. That way, if they mill it, fine. We'll draw an island next turn. If they don't mill it, fine. We'll play it and draw an island next turn. So it's fine either way. Alright, Lobelia Sackville Baggins. Just a 2/3, but a 2/3 with Menace that's also a halfling. So that's going to make it really easy to get Myriadoc Brandybuck to spit out more food. They're going to attack with both here. You know, our hand is curving out slow enough, I think. I need to, worst case scenario, get them to spend mana on a combat trick here. Alright, so they had a combat trick, which it did look like they were making some pretty suspicious attacks. That's fine, we still slow them down a little here. Which is the important part. Alright, make a 3/3, mill them 3, and we've got a blocker up for Myriadoc Brandybuck. Lobelia's super hard to block now. Menace and can't be blocked by creatures with greater power. Deceive the Messenger, a 1-mana spell. Not that interested. I am interested in a land, but if I scry a land to the top and then they mill it, that's a bummer. Just put it both on bottom, I think. We just want to hit high mana value spells because I think they're going to keep milling us right now. Yeah. So we don't want to put cheap stuff on top and lands on top, because we want to draw those. Alright, Lobelia gets in. There is no way we can block Lobelia for multiple reasons. And now Grima Wormtongue that can start sacking things to make us lose life. And alright, we're down to 13. They've got 26 cards in library. We can mill 6 and then mill 9. That's not going to be fast enough. But I don't have anything better to play right now, so it's what we're doing. I really want to draw that Orcish Medicine, but they're just going to mill us again. Mill 3 at 19 life with 2 food tokens. They know they're safe. Yeah. Mill occurs again. This orb is pretty bad against a food deck. Actually, I don't even think they're like a food deck. They just have a Brandybuck on board. There's like black-green in general. They've got a little bit of other food, but not a lot. Oh, Brandywine Farmer. Well, that's a lot of other food. They have 18 cards left. If I can resolve 2 more surrounded by orcs, we'll get there. How many do I have left in the deck? There's 2 copies left in the deck we could draw into if we're super lucky. I don't think I milled or scryed into the bottom. I did not. Hit a land here, but 5 mana is still only enough to do one thing. I'm all in. Whatever. Try to top deck another Surrounded by Orcs. Again, I can only play 1 spell this turn no matter what. Let's put them down to 9 cards in library. That's something. These are not the card I'm looking for, so I think I actually want them to mill these. Rather than scrying 4, and then that means it's more likely they end up milling one of my Surrounded by Orcs. Right, if they mill 4 right now. Not super likely to hit a Surrounded by Orcs in the top 4. But if I put these both on bottom, then they're twice as likely to mill one of my Surrounded by Orcs. I don't know what's right here. This is a weird little mind game problem thing. Oh, they milled one. There's only 1 left in my deck. Oh, no. Oh, God. I could Treason of Isengard, put a 4-drop back on top of my deck, and just hope there's 5 in a row. There's 15 mana value in my top 5 cards. This actually is legit. I guess it'd have to be 18 mana value. That's pretty impossible. Take 4 damage here. Now if I hit removal... No, if I hit removal, they just let me draw the card off the orb. Never mind. Yeah, we have to top deck like a champion. Our 1 final copy of our mill spell. Come on. Dreadful as the Storm. That's a lot of extra damage out of nowhere. They're at 15. We're at 7. They're going to gain a bunch of extra life, though. And I can only play 1 spell here. So if this dies, the ring tempts them. And then they can draw a card, discard a card every time they attack. We take 1, 2, 3, 4 on the crackback, which isn't lethal. But if I attack and they don't block, I can Dreadful as the Storm to make this 14 power. Which doesn't kill them, and then they can just let me draw the card off the orb instead of taking damage again. So I can't do that. I think I need to just play another blocker and pray. And I can block that, and I can block that. Take 3. Kerbane's a fine draw. And we're getting to like mill 5 where they might actually just let us draw. They do not let us draw. They're going to take 7, go to 8, but they've got a lot of food. They probably don't let the mill 6 happen next turn at least. All right, what do they top deck? Just 1 card off the top of the library. What is it going to be? Uh-oh, is it the removal spell? They sack a creature and destroy any creature? They are looking around everywhere, so who knows, but they kind of looked at our 9/9 for a while, then their 1/1 for a while, so I was thinking maybe they were going to sack it to blow up our 9/9. Send in the squad. Maybe it's some kind of combat trick that destroys me. This has Menace. I cannot block that. I don't really want to kill the farmer right now and give them more food. But it would make them have less attackers, which is solid. We're down to 4. The 1 out of 6? Oh, please, Lord. No response. No response. The oops. And then boom. Just blow up our artifacts. That's going to be the rest of their library. They go to 14, so I can't kill them on board, but library's gone. Oh my god. Put them down to 1 life on board, but milled the whole deck. Let's go. 3-1. That's like 2 mill victories. Was it all 3? I don't think all 3 were mill victories. I think one of our wins was just hitting them with like a 9-9 or something. I might be wrong. It could be all 3 mill victories. I don't know what's going on anymore. This format rocks. I love this format so far. You can do just silly, stupid little synergy-driven things. We had that obnoxious green-white food deck where we had to figure out 50 triggers at once, and then this is much simpler, but so much stupider in the best way. Just making 9-9 and 12-12 orcs and milling our opponent 9 or 12 cards. It is what it is. 3-1. 50-50 win rate no matter what, but we'll see if we can keep getting those W's. Here we are for game 5 now. We've got a mono black hand with really not even any great blue spells, and our only black spell we can't play until we have 5 mana, so I am going to mulligan this one. Unless we draw into creatures, then we could like sack a creature to play this, but that is definitely bad enough to mulligan. Not going to go for all greed keeps all day. Alright, I don't care too much about attacking with my orcs every turn, so I'm actually going to get rid of the trebuchet here. I mean, I'm going to go Survivor into Surrounded by Orcs. This is my turn 3, my turn 4. Or, sorry, my turn 2, my turn 3. Turn 4, is Trebuchet going to be better than Vanguard? No, I'm going to go all in on just making the orcs bigger rather than flinging rocks. Not going to go for any boulder flinging escapades. Many partings. Turn 1 from our opponent grabs a plains. So they are green-white food, and they've started with a food token out real quick. Here's a Mushroom Watchdogs, which can eat that food, attack as a 3-3 Vigilance next turn. That's pretty big. Well, if I amass first, before I play Surrounded by Orcs, it is going to mill more cards per Surrounded by Orcs, so it might be better to play it slower and amass a bit here. I think even if I want to do that, I should play Survivor now and then next turn play Vanguard plus Mordor Muster. Take some hits from this Watchdogs though. 3-3 Vigilance, send it in, no blocks. Post-combat, probably play a land and a 3-drop. Certainly. No 3-drop though, just the land. Alright. Drop an Easterling Vanguard. I guess I should have played Mordor Muster first since it draws me a card, so if I drew a better 2-mana play, I might have wanted to do that instead, but yeah, maybe Hold Up Glorious Gale would have been better than the Vanguard. But I'm cool with the Vanguard. I can chump block the Watchdogs and then have a bigger army for my Surrounded by Orcs. Is this the Coney thing? It's the Hobbit Sting. They're going to kill the Vanguard. Buff up the Orc Army, so they might have another way to plan to kill the army. There's no 1 green mana fight spell. Yeah, no. The army's not going to die until their turn, at least. Alright, they've got 4 mana and 3 cards in hand. Watchdogs is coming in hot. We will take the damage down to 13. They're going to pass turn holding a bunch of mana up. Well, I can hope that they play a creature and do nothing, just hold up a Glorious Gale, or I can just slam down Surrounded by Orcs and see what happens to me. So, I think we know the line I'm going to take. Mill them 5, that's pretty big. I do not know this format well enough to know how many things could kill my Orc Army by attacking. It's like exile a tapped creature, but that's a sorcery, and they could just play it for 5 mana and exile any creature next turn anyway. +1/+3 untap a creature wouldn't be big enough. Let's just do it. Alright, we hit for now. Survivor's a lot of mana to mill them, so I'm probably going to chump block with it soon. I'm not going to do it yet. No, they do have the exile a tapped creature, but they've got the 5 mana to hard cast it to exile any creature anyway, so the orcs were gone regardless. This way we just gave them a mana discount that they didn't even utilize. They still just have this 2 mana for nothing. Alright, let's play a Crebain before I surround by orcs. And that's going to be the chump blocker now. Plus I get to hold up Glorious Gale while I play that, which is good. And then since... No, I was going to say since I don't want to block with Survivor, I might attack with it, but if they've got the random untapped trick, that'd be bad. I'll just keep Survivor. East Farthing Farmer, that's big, yeah, because the food token. So you get a food token, give a creature +1/+1 until end of turn, then also the dogs eat the food, get another counter and vigilance this turn. Just does a lot of stuff that we don't really want to see. Alright, they're just going to pass the turn here. Let's... I might just mill them 3 since I have the mana to do it. If they're not attacking anyway. Just don't even play surrounded by orcs yet. Just full defensive. All Survivor mill all day long. Save the surrounded by orcs as alternative mill. Eagles of the North. That is a flyer. So that is going to kill me faster. I think I need to chump here. Mill 3. They're down to 19. We mill them 5 when I play surrounded by orcs, and it gives me a blocker on the ground. But I need to find a way to deal with this Eagles of the North. Yeah. Alright, I've got the 5/5 to block the 3/3, but need a way to deal with the Eagles. I'm going to hold on to this swamp in case I hit my draw 2, discard a card, so I can discard a land to it if I don't draw any lands off of it. Take 3, we're down to 7. Butterbur Bree Innkeeper, they get a food token in their end step every time they don't have a food, which means the Watchdogs gets to attack as a 5/5 very soon. They're at 13 cards in library. It's going to be moderately close if I draw another surrounded by orcs. If I don't, then we just die a lot. But if I draw another surrounded by orcs, we put them down to 1 card in library. So I'm going to put them to 9, and then surrounded puts them down to 1, but then we die. But at least it looked impressive, you know, if we get them down to 1 card in library. Lash of the Balrog, okay. I'm at 4 life, it actually doesn't matter. I can kill the Eagles, chump the Watchdogs, block a 3/3. But I take 3, go to 1, and I don't mill them at all here. I guess it gives me 1 final draw step to draw another surrounded by orcs, and there's 3 copies in these 24 cards, so it's possible. All in. It's our best bet, it's our only bet, is to get real lucky here. So we need them to not find any like removal or tricks to kill us, and then we have to top deck surrounded by orcs. Which there's actually 3 surrounded by orcs in our deck, and 1 draw 2, discard 1 spell that would do it as well. I mean, it wouldn't guarantee we draw surrounded by orcs. It just gives us another spin to try to get to it. There's possibilities here. But yeah, if we hit a surrounded by orcs, that's their library gone. I could block with the Orc Army instead, in which case I still have Survivor, but then I die much faster than I mill them. 3 a turn. Yeah, no. It's all in on top decking. Surrounded by orcs or the Bath Song. Come on, baby, we're going to Vegas. Come on. It's the Bath Song. Draw 2, discard 1. 2 more shots at surrounded by orcs. Come on, roulette wheel. Oh, alright, well. So we're dead, right? There is the tiniest chance in the world that they'll do a bad play in to deceive the messenger and not attack with everybody. It's a real tiny chance, though. I think that just does it, though. I think we just did not find surrounded by orcs. If they attack with everyone, we're dead. If they attack with just 3 creatures, then we survive. And we don't actually get another shot at drawing surrounded by orcs, though, because I have to lose my Orc Army to survive if they attack with 3 creatures. So we need them to just attack with like 2 and get super greedy and super defensive for some reason. All right, they did not do that. We are indeed dead on board. And I get to trade with the watchdogs, which is cute, but I take lethal damage. Alright. Game was actually a lot closer than it looked, because we knew that we had 3 outs in our deck that were insta-kills, so not a bad loss there. 3-2 as we head into game number 6. Here we are for game 6. Got nothing until turn 3, but we've got both our colors and some sweet stuff from that point onward. We are on the draw, though, which means we could fall behind a little quicker than usual. With nothing till turn 3. Quarrel's End. Alright, so they've got a 1-1 and a 2-1, so I think playing the 1-4 untapper is pretty good. Or the 1-4 defender, really either one. But if I play the untapper, we're a little more flexible in what we can do on future turns, because we could untap a land and get some more mana. Grond the Gatebreaker. They control an army, then this is just straight up a 4-mana 5/5 trample. That's going to be real good when they amass. Good grief, yeah, just a 5/5 trampler that can't block, basically, for 4. That's a good deal. Just surround them by orcs here. If I wait till 7 mana, the Dreadful as the Storm surrounded by orcs combo is very cute and very fun. I have 5 mana if I use Iorith, but nothing to do for 5 mana, so I'm playing 1 card this turn no matter what I do. I could see Sauron's Ransom being kind of sweet, but I should probably be impacting the board. Yeah, sure. I'm just going to surrounded by orcs here. I've got 4 more copies in the deck if I want to try Dreadful as the Storm surrounded by orcs later. Ooh, we milled a great removal spell of theirs. They were also splashing in a Gimli that we milled. Cute. Oh, they're just gonna crew it. They're just crewing Grond and getting in there. Alright, we're taking 5. Down to 13 here. It's a big hit. And they've got 5 mana up to cast stuff. I'll have 6 mana next turn, so Mordor Trebuchet plus an instant feels good. We can ransom them, or we could Dreadful as the Storm just to combat trick and kill Grond. Make this an 8/8 till end of turn. Easterling Vanguard. Would I rather play that than the Trebuchet? No, let's be mana efficient here. Play a Trebuchet and hold up our 3 mana instants. But I am not going to attack here at 13 life. Uh-oh. Never a good sign to see your opponent improvise weaponry yourself. Just shoot you in the face instead of one of your creatures. This might be our last turn on the planet here. Yep, that's nightmarish. I'm 2 from myself to kill Grond here, which I kind of have to do. Trebuchet's not like a super good card anyway, so... At least for our deck. It's great for aggro, but... Let's 2 from ourselves to kill this Grond. Deceive the Messenger. That would have been awesome last turn. I guess I wouldn't have had the mana up. Alright, we will Sauron's Ransom and Deceive the Messenger on blocks. I mean, they only have 2 1/1s now, so I guess we don't need to block that much. Alright, Sauron's Ransom. Level 2 of the Ring. We get to draw and discard cards now if we attack with a Ring Bearer. They have 23 cards in their decks. They're probably not worried about mill right now. I think I'm just going to keep always taking the pile that could have mill. Because I just love Surrounded by Orcs. Yeah, we get land surrounded by Orcs. Keep Ioreth as the Ring Bearer. Worth it to mill them 1 more card, but not have my combat trick? I don't think so. At 9 life, using Deceive the Messenger to stop even like 2 damage from some random 2/2 is good. If one of them gets through. Alright, Surrounded by Orcs, their face. I could cast another one this turn, but that would mean I have no mana up. And just 2 blockers. I am fine to wait on this. I'm not under any kind of hurry here. Cool. There's the Bath Song. That's beautiful. Shuffle all the Surrounded by Orcs back into the deck. That's super, super good. I want to draw a land. I want to draw 2 lands here. Discard 1 and play 1. Did not draw 2 lands. Pelargir Survivor is a good mill dork. I guess I'm discarding Deceive the Messenger. Well... No, because I have to dump a bunch of mana into that, and I'm going to draw 2, discard again next turn, which means I could... I'm going to want to cast a bunch of spells with all my mana. They're down to 13 cards now. And I have Deceive the Messenger up. I probably should be attacking with this Orc Army by now against 1/1s. I've had my Orc Army die 1 too many times in combat before, though. Old Man Willow. That can sack some stuff to give things -2/-2. And it's an 8/8. Okay, well, now we cannot attack with the Orc Army. Another Deceive the Messenger. Draw 2, discard a card. Found another Surrounded by Orcs. I've got 8 mana to play Crebain and Surrounded by Orcs. What is this going to mill them down to 1 card left? Wait, I can just mill their whole deck! Oh my god! Because I can just Deceive the Messenger to 9/9, Surrounded by Orcs to 12, mill 12, 0 cards left, past turn. Jesus Christ. Yeah, the Bath Song's really good in here, if we're not under any pressure. Just set up those draws to find the Surrounded by Orcs. just get all the fuel there and load that orc up. Definitely winning more games than we're losing no matter what. Sweet run. This has been a fun one. This is just silly nonsense. Favorite archetype so far. Pretty good hand here. Turn 3 surrounded by orcs is very nice, and the Treason of Isengard to pick it back up later. So get that Survivor down early, get the mana ramp from that, and see how crazy we can go. Playing against black-red again. That is the aggro Amass deck, rather than the control/mill Amass deck like we're playing. Mordor Muster into the Kerbane to have a 3/3 attacking in on turn 3. Pretty dang good. Surround them by orcs here. Milled 3 non-land cards, that's nice. We have 5 mana up next turn if we're casting instants and sorceries. Oh my god, their Orc Army's a 5/5. Whew. Taking some big hits here, but I can Treason of Isengard and then Orcish Medicine as an instant. So indestructible if they try to use a removal spell on it pre-combat, and if they don't, then we make it a 6/6 and gain 6 during combat. If they have their own Orcish Medicine, then they win that fight, because then they just play theirs and give theirs indestructible. So they have a 6/6 indestructible versus our 6/6 lifelink. They're about to blow up our Survivor. That would be bad, because then we don't get to Orcish Medicine at instant speed anymore. Like out of nowhere on blocks. Crossing the fingers a bit here that they don't have their own Orcish Medicine or combat trick. Oh, that is so good. Go up to 15 now. They might be able to blow up our Orc Army, but at least we gained a ton of life and got rid of theirs. Oh, wow. Well, that's a really good card for them to have, but I still think that was overall worth it for us. I can wait on this next surrounded by orcs, because we don't get to block anything on the ground anyway. So let's just be mana efficient and play all 5 mana worth of cards right now. Battle Scarred Goblin, that's fine. Trebuchet blocks that all day. Alright. Things look like they could be slowing down a little bit for us. Give us the time to start trying to draw on some of our surrounded by orcs nonsense. I guess there was an argument for giving indestructible to our army earlier. I would have been at 6 less life right now, though, so I don't think that would have been good. I'd be at 5 life now against this current board, but I would still have an Orc Army, which is good. Alright, this is why I did not play this land yet. Come on, Bath Song, you've been phenomenal for us in the past. Mordor Muster versus Deceive the Messenger. What do I want to do right now? If I want to Deceive the Messenger right now, then I just discard the Swamp. If I want to Mordor Muster now, I have to discard the Deceive the Messenger. I think I'm going to Deceive the Messenger. I could kill the Crusher without losing any creatures by doing that. Or I could stop a damage in the sky. A lot of things I could do. Let's discard the Swamp, hold up Deceive the Messenger. Try to Deceive the Messenger here to kill this without losing a creature. Perfect. We are down to 9, though. They kill me in 4 attacks if I shoot myself with Mordor Muster. But I kind of feel like I have to. 20 cards, though? It'd be a long time to mill them. They kill me one turn faster, but I see one more card by drawing a card right now. I think it kind of just balances out to like the same difference, whether I play this or not. Because one more turn is really just one more draw step to find removal for the birds. Palantir's interesting, especially with the Bath Song on board to shuffle everything back in. Yeah. Start shooting their face, I guess. That's 7 damage. No, they only mill one of these. I don't actually think it matters. Does this happen after I draw? After I draw. Okay, so whatever I scry second is what I will draw into. This is probably greedy, but I'm going to try to draw into Surrounded by Orcs and hope I can still outrace the bats. I should be scrying them to the bottom and looking for removal. Well, they're going to let me draw. Interesting. I did not expect that. Down to 6. Shuffle in everything that can deal with 1/1 flyers and everything that can mill them. So, Surrounded by Orcs mills them 1,000,000. Deceive the Messenger deals with a 1/1 flyer for a turn. Orcish Medicine gains me 1,000,000 life. Those are the most important cards to be able to redraw. Shuffle them in, get a couple mana. So we have 8 mana to play around with this turn. I have 9 mana worth of spells, though. If I play this legend, I can start untapping the Orc Army, which is good. For more blocks. Mill them 8 here. If I draw another Surrounded by Orcs, they're dead. And there's 4 copies in our deck now out of 22. This might be better not to attack. At least until I can untap here. Dead 3 attacks to these birds. I don't know what's the best. I'll play the untapper and pass. Orcish Bowmasters. I don't think I drew any extra cards, but that does 1 damage to anything when it hits the board and gives them an Orc Army. So that's 2 more attackers. Really good thing I didn't attack here. Grief. I just put them on the bottom. Again, maybe people who are good at maths would be like, just put both on top, and it's more likely that you get the Surrounded by Orcs. Oh no, am I dead? Am I dead because they can let me draw the card with the Bowmasters? Do I die to Bowmasters? I have 3 blocks, I go to 2. I don't think I'm dead to Bowmasters. Bowmasters plus another burn spell. I'd be dead here. Oh god, do they have another burn spell or a combat trick? Have they done it? Bowmasters for the lethal? I go to 2. Oh, no way. Bowmasters for lethal. Ow. The thing I really hate about Magic Arena versus Magic Online is on Magic Online, there's a draw next card button. So you can see what you had on top. We had 4 copies of Surrounded by Orcs in there. Like a 1 in 5 for the kill next turn. We'll never know. We'll never know if 1 more draw step would have gotten there. Alright, that was some real good work by Bowmasters with the orb on board that could force us to draw cards. I don't know how I feel about this orb. We played it a lot. It always affected the game a lot. I'll say that much. It was always interesting. I still feel very confused and not certain about how good or bad it is. I don't feel like I haven't gained any more knowledge about Orb than I had before the draft. I do know that I love Surrounded by Orcs. Again, it's probably still not that great. It's probably like not the best thing you can be doing, but if I can go 4-3 with Surrounded by Orcs decks, I'm gonna keep drafting the card because it's just fun. It's dumb. It's silly. Make one gigantic Orc Army and try to mill your opponent a bunch. This was a fun deck. 4-3 is more than good enough for the kind of silly nonsense I was trying to do today. I'll absolutely take it. I definitely could have made some better plays today. Maybe there were some other lines that would have found victories, like Orcish Medicine for Indestructible instead of Lifelink. Maybe that changes the course of one of those games. Stuff like that. We had a lot of options at some times, so who knows how things stack up. I think overall, though, we were probably going to do about 4-3, 5-3 with this deck. But yeah, really, really enjoyed this archetype. It was definitely a lot of fun. Let's grab our prizes now. And that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons very much for supporting this channel, as well as you for watching. If you're interested in catching more videos like this, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more of these videos in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below, and if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below, and other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.